Jen Yip is the founder of Lunch Money, a personal finance management tool that started off as a side project and is now used by thousands of people in more than 30 countries. These people using the Lunch Money app want delightfully simple personal finance and budgeting. Jen is proudly Canadian and is currently based in Los Angeles and loves running both the business and half marathons while also traveling the world. Welcome, Jen.
Hi, it's great to be here.
This is going to be such a fun conversation because I am all about budgeting and financial management. But I think it's so interesting how this ties into your own personal story and your personal divorce and how that really redefined your business for you. So, I want to start off by just learning a little bit more about Lunch Money and how your customers are using the app.
Sure. So, as you mentioned, Lunch Money started as a side project of mine. So, I'm a software engineer by trade. I was also a digital nomad for many years. I'd made my money in the US. I moved back to Canada, where I'm originally from. I lived in Asia for a bit, as well as Europe. And so I was tracking every dollar, euro, yen that I was spending in a spreadsheet because there just wasn't a solution out there at the time that allowed me to track multiple currencies. And so after a year and a half of the spreadsheet, at the time, I was freelancing for 3 different companies. I had burnt out from the Silicon Valley life, and I decided that I would turn my spreadsheet into an app. I just wanted to code something for fun for myself. So it took about, 9 months for me to code from beginning to end, and I launched it into the world not really knowing what was gonna come about, and I got 1,000 signups overnight, and I just decided to quit all my freelancing jobs at that point and go in to Lunch Money full time. So that was back in 2019.
Well, selling things online myself, I know how hard it can be to get that critical mass. So when you say that almost overnight you got 1,000 people using it, I find that to be so amazing. How did you do that?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I posted it on an online forum called Hacker News. It's frequented by a lot of people in the tech world. I think it was the right time to post about it. I did it as part of like a show and tell kind of a post where I was like, "Hey, here's a budgeting app that I created by myself. I'm an independent developer." And I think at that time there really was just kind of Mint that was backed by Intuit, and then you had all these long tail of other solutions that were backed by conglomerates. And I think that tech community really wanted to support kind of like a mom and pop type business. They didn't want to give their financial data to a big company that would probably just end up selling it. And so I think it was just the right moment. And a lot of people were really excited about it, even though we launched with just 3 features. And yeah, it was really awesome to get the feedback from the community that way.
Is it proper to call it a budgeting app or is it something much more than that?
That I love that you said that because, colloquially, we call all of these budgeting apps, but I like to just say it's a personal finance management app. You kind of plug in everything related to your personal finances onto this app. You see all your finances in one place, and budgeting is just one of the many things you can do after you've kind of sorted your finances on there.
Ooh, I like that. That sounds really exciting. You did mention using multiple currencies. So I guess that is one of the unique features of your app, correct?
Yeah, it's really not something that any other app has embarked on from the very beginning. It's literally in the fabric of our app. So the idea is you can kind of track your transactions in all these different currencies, and at the end of the day, you can kind of see it add up in your primary currency, the currency that you think in, and you can change that ad hoc anytime, and it just kind of recalculates everything on the fly.
So you like to say that you did something called building in public for this app. And I want to know more about that because that sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, building in public is really awesome, and it really helped me retain a lot of users as well as get my name out there more. So the idea is kind of putting your journey out there. So I was blogging a lot primarily, as well as tweeting just every milestone that I was hitting. And it wasn't just kind of like, here's how awesome I'm doing this week. I had one of my more popular blog posts was called the biggest mistakes I've made with lunch money so far. So a bit of like a humbling take on, the entrepreneurial journey. I'm not like an MBA holder or anything, so I'm just kind of figuring things out as I go. And I think at that time, building in public was starting to become very popular, especially among kind of the indie, online entrepreneurs, and so for people to kind of be able to follow along my journey from the beginning, I think was something that really, like, encouraged people to check out, like, what I'm about, what Lunch Money's about, and kind of inspire their own journey as well.
What are you most proud of when it comes to the development of not just the app, but the whole business that goes along with it?
That's a really good question. It's something that I should think about more often, I think. I think it's doing everything on my own. I was very, very proud of being a company of one. So I ran everything from marketing to customer success to the engineering and the product design by myself for 5 years. So I was very proudly a solopreneur, company of one. And I think that's rooted in the fact that, I am a minority within the field of software engineering, and I feel like a lot of my career, I was kind of proving myself to my male counterparts, and having Lunch Money be successful and be something that I could claim 100% as my own, I just, like, really ran with it, and I was like, "Yes, this is all me, like, this is me proving myself to the world, I can do it all on my own, I didn't need anybody." So I think it's incredible what I've done, I feel really proud of myself for that.
That totally resonates with me because I have been a solo business person for over 25 years and I really enjoy doing it by myself. There is for sure a lot of pride involved in that. I know that the business also had a big role in your future plans for your family when you were a married woman, but then you got blindsided by your ex with a divorce. So I want to hear about that life plan you had and how lunch money was a part of it.
Yeah, and I'd love to talk about it. So, when I started Lunch Money, I was newly married and always kind of had an idea for myself that just like how we imagine we would go to college, we would buy a house one day and all that stuff. I just imagined I would have my own family. It was the next natural step after getting married. And so when I looked at Lunch Money, I had a grander vision of it being an engine for passive income and that I could be a stay-at-home mom but not because I'm married rich or anything. And it's because, I built something that is able to sustain my lifestyle. Therefore, I can be a stay-at-home mom because I earned it and I deserved it. So that was a motivation for a really long time. And, my ex and I, we did a lot of our future planning around that, around having that as an income stream, around having me being available for raising kids and everything. So I never really thought of an end game for Lunch Money outside of that, outside of where that would, like, fit into my life as a homemaker.
But then came the
Yes.
divorce and you had to rethink all of it. So I know you're not shy in talking about your divorce because it was really something I think that has shaped a lot of who you are and a lot of who the business is. So tell me about the divorce and then how it impacted lunch money and that business.
Yeah, I am not shy about talking about my divorce because I think it's something that's really important to just kind of bring into public discourse more. I grew up in a culture where divorce is very shameful, looked down upon. Like for a long time, my parents didn't even tell a lot of my family members because they just didn't want to have that conversation. I think talking about my divorce really helped me get through it a lot more, realizing a lot of people go through this. Um, so yeah, it was a complete blindside. It was a very like, left on a business trip, never came back. And then I was kind of wondering what was going to happen, kind of ghosted me for a few weeks and then just let me know that it was going to be a divorce. So it really rocked my world. I mean, I'm sure everyone listening understands this feeling of everything that you had imagined your life was going to be is just suddenly, it's a blank canvas. It's like you were working on a Word document and then it just like your computer crashed and then you're like, you turn it back on, it's like a blank document and you have no idea what's gonna happen. So I went through that and it was especially difficult because I had this business that was also running and I obviously didn't have the right mental space to continue running it at the same capacity that I was just like a few weeks prior. So I took a step back from that. And I also really had to think about my motivations for everything all over again. especially when lunch money was going to be this fuel that would help me have that, like, homemaker lifestyle.
What were your thoughts about the business while you were going through the divorce? I know that you obviously were able to keep the business alive, keep the app functioning, but were you like really just doing the minimal to keep it going? Were you thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do long term? Or are you like, nope, I can't even think about that. I'm just going to keep it going as well as I can and worry about everything else later?
Yeah, I was doing definitely the bare minimum. I so at that time, I had a little community on Slack where users could join, and so, as part of that, they would ask questions and then other users would answer, and so I'm so thankful that at that time, I had built Lunch Money up to the point where the community was kind of sustaining the business in a way, because I was the one doing all the support emails, and suddenly I wasn't answering emails, but there was another channel where people could go through to get support, which was very, very helpful. Um, Before the divorce, I mean, I was pushing out features every week. I was responding to everybody. I was very, very present. And then I suddenly just like fell off the face of the earth. And, it was very sweet because I would have a number of users reach out to me and it wasn't kind of like, what's going on? Is the business like, did you abandon it? But it was more a lot of people sent very heartfelt messages of like, I hope you're okay. I noticed you haven't been around. And I feel proud about that too because I think that means I ran the business in a way where people can see like the human behind it versus just kind of like, a corporation trying to make money. So, at the end of the day, when I think about how my business kept growing miraculously, even though I wasn't putting in active work, it really is because of my community of existing users that just, like, kept it afloat.
So the business did continue to grow while you were getting divorced. You got through that process, and then how did you eventually continue to really thrive? I understand you made some big changes with the business after you came out of the divorce.
Yeah, so the divorce really a divorce is a very it sucks, obviously, yes, but at the same time, it's a very unique circumstance to just you, and it's really a reset button, and I'm not shy to hitting the reset button. I've moved out of countries multiple times and kind of just up and sold all my stuff and left, so I saw it as an opportunity to just kind of reset everything, rethink everything. Especially with lunch money, I even though this is 100% my baby, my motivations for working on it were so closely tied to, like, my marriage and also what my ex-spouse wanted, which shouldn't be that case. It's something that I built for myself. So, it was really interesting to kind of think through, "All right, if I'm gonna start working on lunch money again, I need a really good, form of motivation." And at the same time, as I was going through my divorce, I really leaned on my community and this is something that I really learned a lot, especially having gone through lunch money as a company of one. I was no stranger to just saying no to help, to kind of being so prideful that I did everything myself. And then at the same time with this divorce, I was like, there's no way I could have gone through that by myself. I really understood the power of like having people to rely on, just like sharing stories, community, the human aspect of everything. And so after taking, a few months to like about a year and a half to really get back to a good spot, I made some very fundamental changes to lunch money and not to the way the app works or anything, but just like the core values of the business. So one of them is I ended up expanding my team. So we're no longer a company of one. And I feel good about that decision. I think before when I thought about hiring, I would think a lot about relinquishing control or I would think about like not getting full credit for what I built. But now, my mindset has become like it's good to rely on others. You go way further as a team than you would by yourself. It's good to share, the work with others as well as the happy moments, as well as the low points.
Tell me how you expanded the team. Like, what kind of roles did you decide you wanted to fill? Because I know as someone who works for myself, it's really hard, like you said, to think about giving up control of things, letting someone else have ownership. So where did you decide that you wanted to add people?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's very important to be strategic about it for sure. My main um, kind of test for figuring out what I wanted to hire for was thinking of all the tasks that I do that I do not enjoy. Because at the end of the day, as a business owner, I want to continue doing this because I love it. I don't want to do it because I have to. And so part of that is kind of figuring out what are the parts of the business that bring me joy and what are the parts where I'm just kind of like, got to do that again. So, identified those, figured out that there are roles that can encompass multiple of those tasks or what have you, and decided to hire out a customer success manager to help me just kind of get, like my knowledge base articles in check, figure out, all the channels that we have to have support messages from users, kind of monitoring all of those so that I don't have to be 24/7 online. That was huge, as well as a marketing manager. So I'm not at all a marketer. I don't really have that part of my brain that's well formed. So having someone who's really an expert there has really helped a lot as well.
Did it take you a little bit of time to sort of gel with your team, or were you lucky enough to find people that you fit with right away and you sort of established a cadence together that worked right away?
Yeah, I think I got really lucky, and I attribute this to the lunch money community. Is that I never really had a difficult time hiring or finding the right hires because I would just look within the community. So whenever I would have a new job posting, I always post within our community Discord first. And I would get a lot of applications there because it's people that understand my product, people that understand our company values, and they want to be a part of that first and foremost, which is really different than, if you were to post a generic posting somewhere and they kind of just see you among like a sea of 100 other job postings. It's totally different. So I feel like right off the bat, everyone that applied just gets me, is excited to meet me, understands like the human behind the business. So didn't really have too much trouble with that aspect of hiring.
So, your first big change was expanding your team. What was your second big change that you made to lunch money after your divorce?
So another big change was we decided to invest more heavily into our developer ecosystem. So for the non-technical folks out there, what that means is we basically have something called a developer API, which allows you, if you're a developer, to tap into the data that you have in Lunch Money and use it in your own programming. So you can write, you can create a tool, maybe you create a mobile app that can connect to your lunch money account. Or you can create, maybe your bank has some special feature. And so you can create a bridge between lunch money and your bank to kind of facilitate some stuff. So the tech community loves stuff like this. And we really want to encourage people to build on top of lunch money. We don't believe in like, you have your data in lunch money and it only lives within lunch money. We really believe in data portability. And also, we're encouraging people to not only create these tools for themselves, but also share it with the community. It's called like an open source community. So, kind of sharing the code, allowing other people to contribute to it. And we also try to make it easy for other folks to kind of run these tools that people in our community have built. And so, this obviously helps us out a lot. It kind of gives us an engineering team without needing to go out and hire an engineering team. And it also involves the community. They kind of give us feedback on our product and we can kind of see what they want to build on top of it and what they want to see.
It seems like they're helping you on the technical side, they're helping you on the strategy side, but they're also helping to build loyalty amongst your customer base.
Yeah, exactly. It I think it's a really great strategy for like sustainability. And also, we started our roots of our first 1,000 customers is off of this forum called Hacker News, which is very much a community of tech, developers. So it really is paying homage back to that community and giving them the tooling that they love to play with.
Okay, what was the third big change that you made after your divorce?
Yeah, so the third big change I would say is our Discord community. So in the beginning, I had mentioned that we had a Slack community. It just wasn't the right platform, and we were also kind of gating it to just subscribers only. So it's like, oh, if you paid for a subscription, then you get access to the community. And that just kind of didn't make sense for me. in the end because, maybe you're trialing, maybe you're not sure, maybe you just want to see what's going on with the app. And so moving to Discord, which is another platform that is more geared towards communities versus Slack, which is more of an enterprise chatting software, it really helped us grow our community of not just users, but just like enthusiasts. And so now I think we have like 4,000 people in our Discord community. You can go on there, you can just ask, like, "Oh, I'm not sure if lunch money's right for me. I came from this other app. Does anyone have any insights?" And you'll have like 3 to 4 people just kind of give their opinions. It's really cool.
It is cool. And what's that fourth change that you implemented after the divorce?
Yeah, so the 4th change, I saved the best for last. This is the one I'm most proud of. So I just decided that I wanted to make lunch money accessible to everyone regardless of their economic status, regardless of where they're from. In the beginning, because I wanted lunch money to just be this passive income engine, I was thinking, I'm going to sell a premium app for a high price. So I don't need that many subscribers, but it would just help me get to like a high revenue status faster. And what I decided to do instead was I decided to lower my pricing and I decided to make it a pay what you want. So instead of saying like everyone has to pay $100 a year, I've changed it to, you can decide if you want to pay from $50 all the way to 150. And if you pay, I think if you choose over 120, we send you a little care package after your first and second year anniversary to show our gratitude. But the idea is to just, like what's the point of having a budgeting app if it's going to take up a bunch of your budget, first of all. And second of all, over the years, I've gotten a lot of emails from people, like a teacher from Japan or someone from Venezuela or like a student from Cambodia that really wants to use lunch money because it's the first piece of financial software that they really get. And they like, the bright colors, the delightfulness of it, but they just couldn't afford our previous price point. So part of just wanting to help out as many people as possible and not kind of gate it to just be a premium product for people that can afford it. I'm really proud of being able to like lower our pricing change and also have a guarantee that whatever price you come in at is the price you pay for life. Like we're never going to be like, oh, well, you came in at $50, but next year we're going to charge you $100.
So, did you find that to be a really successful move and something that really elevated your number of subscribers?
I did. And, this is something that we get to do because we are a bootstrap company. So I don't have any external investors. I don't have anyone kind of breathing down my neck and wanting like the quarterly numbers to be a certain level or anything. And so my thinking is, if you allow people to pay what they want, then they're going to feel like they're getting good value out of it and they're probably going to stay much longer. So when renewal comes around, if they're like, oh, maybe I haven't been using lunch money too much, but it's only $50 a year, so I can stay on. Versus if they came in at, our original pricing at 100 a year, it's just gonna be, like, so much more friction to just kinda keep that going. And so it's been about, like, 2 years now, and I definitely do see that, like, this is something that keeps people on lunch money, especially as all my competitors, they keep raising their pricing every year because they have to. So, we kind of see this online where every time a competitor raises their price, we get a little spike in sign up because someone on Reddit or something is like, "Oh, well, I switched to lunch money and they're great. They're like half the price."
That's so fantastic. What's on the horizon? Is there anything that you can share with us as far as your plans for the next year or 2 with the app?
Yeah, well, this is we're about a year and a half into growing the team, and so there's a lot more hands on deck. We have a lot of exciting new features. One of them is a complete rehaul of our budgeting feature. So if you're a fan of zero-based budgeting or envelope budgeting, or you want to use sinking funds, anything like that, we now support that, which is super exciting, as well as like custom budget periods. So, pretty much every app out there only allows you to budget monthly, but obviously that doesn't work if like you get paid maybe every 2 weeks, or like February has 28 days, but then like January has 31 days. So it's a little weird. So on Lunch Money now, you get to set custom budgeting periods. So you can have your budget reset every week or every 2 weeks or whatever makes sense for you.
That's really cool. Well, we are going to link to Lunch Money in the show notes, of course. You also have a personal blog that I bet is very interesting that we're going to link to in the show notes. Jen, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for so graciously sharing your very personal divorce story.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm so happy to share it. It's not every day I have a platform where I can share this very, it's a little uncomfortable, but I think at the end of the day, hopefully it inspires people to kind of see the divorce as a way to, like, very excitedly think about what you want out of life. Because I think when you've been in a marriage or in a relationship for a really long time, you forget to think about yourself, and it's a good time to start putting yourself first again.
I definitely see your story as being encouragement to so many. Thanks again for being here.
Thanks.